Here in Studio 10, you know we love to introduce you to the experts today. I'm with Karen Way, and you have another expert to introduce us to today. Every time we talk to you have someone fun and interesting, but today, Ryan, tell me a little bit about him.
Well, first of all, thank you, and I will not disappoint you because that's exactly the way we describe him in our office as well. Ryan Taylor joined EXP just a few months ago, and he had a real estate background coming to us prior to, and he's just a very interesting young man that's working with a demographic, what we're kind of calling the up-and-coming buyer. And what's very interesting is the pendulum is swinging from the first-time home buyer buying something that's just exclusively for their family, and it's swinging towards how can I make sure I'm still making money with my real estate, because our young people are thinking this is truly an investment. So Ryan has some pretty specific plans that he just kind of lays out for a person in a fun and comfortable environment, and we are finding that he is getting a heck of a lot of people to invest in real estate and have fun with it. So I can't wait for you to talk with him. You'll love him.
I know, I can't wait to meet him. So his expertise really kind of lie in investment properties, and the way that that has kind of evolved is really shifting.
It is, it really is. But you know, I'll tell you what I think is interesting about real estate, it's always been an investment. And just like my personal home we're sitting in today, whatever you buy, if you buy it right, it's something that you can take equity out of later or sell. It's something, real estate should always be something that you make money with. So with that as a foundation, Ryan is talking to people about how you buy a primary home that is truly an asset, not a liability. But what we're finding is a lot of people are saying, okay, I don't need the standalone home. Show me a duplex. I would like to have a renter on the other side that makes my house payment for me. So he's putting a really interesting twist on things because he is he's of that generation. So okay. Yeah, he's teaching an old dog a few new tricks.
Well, he'll teach all of us a little bit of something, so let's bring him in.
That sounds great.
All right, Ryan, Karen gave you a great introduction to what you do a little bit with the investment properties, but I'd love to hear more from your perspective. What you're seeing in the market, the trends, what does that look like?
Yeah, what you're seeing is a lot of, I'd say that the demographic between ages 25 to 35, that is sort of shifting where they're deciding to invest their money. So maybe instead of looking for a primary residence where I'm going to live for the rest of my life, I might be looking for an investment property that I can possibly live in, force some equity, maybe pull some equity out to invest in something else down the road and possibly rent to some tenants and turn that into more of an investment-driven decision rather than what my parents used to do. So it's our job as investor-friendly real estate agents to help guide them through that decision and speak on our own experiences.
Now, when we're saying investment property, is it like, all right, I'm going to buy this house and live in it and buy this separate one and flip it, or do you live in it and flip it at the same time? What are people doing?
A little bit of everything. So that's where we come in. So I'm working with a couple different people right now. One of them is just trying to buy purely investment property. They live out of state, so that changes their down payment and how they run their numbers. Now, the big difference is if I decide to live in that property while I'm also renting it out, I now have a lower down payment, so now my cash I have to bring to the table is different, so we run our numbers differently. So we don't just want to go and buy something because it seems like now I'm investing. The numbers have to make sense, and really, you know, if I'm an investor, I have to be more logical and the numbers have to work, whereas if I'm buying a primary residence, I can be a little more emotional and say, you know, these paint colors don't work, or you know, something like that, where I'm purely basing everything on numbers and cash on cash return and getting into these financial metrics that people might not be familiar with if they're just going to buy a primary residence.
Now, we talked a little bit about how sometimes people use a house as like a staging, more like a trophy house, you know, something to entertain, where people kind of aren't doing that. Talk to me about the shift. Why do we think we're shifting kind of away from what our parents did, and this younger 25 to 35 is doing what they're doing? Why the shift?
Yep, I think a lot of it is driven by what we see on social media. Some of it's real, some of it's not, but what we see is a lot more podcasts and information that is investment driven, real estate driven. So when people come to us that are a little bit younger, it's, I want to invest in real estate, but I don't know what to do. So we say you can try to flip a property, you can live in it, in what we call a house hack, which is something I've done before. You can do a slow flip where you live in it and flip it at the same time, or you can just buy it purely as an investment property. So we're kind of seeing the shift in our younger generation move into that, where they want to make their money work for them, and we're becoming a little bit more financially sophisticated, but we want to know what we can do other than just invest in a 401k.
That's very true. We're in the information age, so a lot of
Yes.
information at our fingertips, maybe why that shift. And so how do we make sense of it all? What do we do?
So we want to work with an expert who has the experience, who has done some of these things before, to sort of bridge that gap rather than just make a quick decision that's really going to impact our financial future. So
Contact one of the experts to kind of make sense of it all, that's been there, that's done it themselves.
absolutely.
All right, so nice to meet you, Ryan. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much.
All right, stick around. More of Studio 10 is coming up after the break.